Today's video will teach you how to replace your gas tank in an old 90s Honda Civic. So my car was filled up when it was parked, and now it's down to under half a tank. So it has a leak right at the seam. So what I like to do first is attach a hose to the fuel return, which comes off of your fuel pressure regulator. It'll look something like this. You'll have a hose that's going to the return, so it goes to the fuel tank. So I attach a hose there, and I just have it go into a gas tank. So now when you start the car, the gas is gonna go through the fuel rail, and the car is gonna run, and then the remaining gas is gonna exit. So eventually your car will just die at idle because it's out of gas, and then the fuel tank has no gas in it. So the reason to do that is so the fuel tank is lighter and you're not really gonna make a mess when it comes out. All right, so the car finally shut off. That's near full of gas, and I pulled it into the garage. I was able to start it back up and pull it in. But now what I'm gonna do, jack it up from the rear, and then you'll start taking stuff apart. Got the car jacked up now, and what needs to come off next, I believe, is the tank straps. So there's two of them, one on this side, one on the other side. So you would undo it from right here, and you can undo it from the back as well. You can see. So if you take the back ones off first, you should be able to drop the tank backwards and then out. I got the tank straps are loose. I loosened this nut a little bit. You're able to just push it up and then pull this stud out. So I got those out, and I have it resting on the jack. But before it comes down, the fuel filler neck has to come off, and mine is really rusty. So that and the vent tube above it need to come off, and then it should come straight down. For this evap stuff, it bolts in underneath right here and here. There's two 10mm bolts that come out. So you just do that, and then there's the vent that goes to the gas tank right there. You just unplug that. So now all this stuff is disconnected. So now just the fuel sending unit and then the fuel pump unit need to be unhooked. There is one connector for the fuel pump, and then there's two connectors, one right here, which I believe goes to the evap stuff. Yep. So this connector goes to the evap stuff, and then this one's for the fuel sending unit. So those two need to come off. And then the last two things are the fuel feed and the fuel return line. So the fuel feed, you push in this connector on both ends, and then it pulls off. And then the fuel return, it just has a normal clamp connection, and then you undo the clamp connection and just pull it right off. All right, so here's the old one, here's the new one. So now you just want to transfer everything over. You can see these all have 10mm nuts. Those come with new ones. I would use the new ones. And then just these hoses and the wiring, just transfer over to the new one. If you want, you can also transfer these pads. I guess it's where it contacts the body. You can see it actually started rubbing a little bit, so I'll definitely transfer those over. So the fuel pump, when you pull it out, you're gonna have to fight it a little bit. When you get it out, just inspect everything, make sure this hose looks pretty good. This one's been replaced, so yeah, this hose looks pretty new. Make sure all the connections are good, and yeah, replace this top gasket. That one looks pretty new, but since I have one, I'm going to replace it anyways. A big thing you want to check out is your fuel sock. Just make sure it's not obstructed in any way or beat up. This one does have a little gash right there, so I would replace it if I had a new one, but I don't, so I'm just going to reuse this one. But yeah, that's something to check out. Putting it back in the tank, you'll see the new tank has a baffle right there. So you want to make sure the bottom of the pump is in that baffle. I doubt you can get it in a different way, but if you're working in a different car, just make sure the fuel pump's always in the baffling. I tightened all these nuts down, and I don't know the torque spec for them, but these you just want to put tight. You don't want to over torque them or else you'll snap them. That's kind of in the way, that's funny. But yeah, you don't want to do these too tight or you will snap them off and it'll not be good. So just get them pretty tight. All right, next is your fuel sending unit. This is what tells your cluster how much gas is in your tank. So if this is all rusty, I would recommend replacing it. But mine looks pretty good. And also, if your fuel gauge is not working properly, this is most likely the culprit. But this one looks good, so I'm gonna throw it in now. What I use to hold these pads back in place is hot glue. It works. If you can't get these hoses off, I use channel locks. Grab them like this. And twist them a little bit. There it goes. Easy. All right, everything is on. Now time to just push it under. You can use the jack if you want and start. I would start by connecting all this, then getting it up, and then connecting the evap stuff and the fuel filler neck. New tank is all installed and I already started it. No leaks so far, so check after you drive it for a day, check the next day, see if there's any leaks or anything. It's all like straightforward, it's not too bad. And here it is running. So I'm gonna take it on a test drive now, come back and just look everything over, check my oil, check my transmission fluid, just give the vehicle a check. Last step is to sweep all the rust that fell off because your old tank's so rusty. That's it for the Civic tank. This is just a random car that my friend sold to me and my brother, and it's actually going to my friend's girlfriend. So yeah, it's just a car that I keep around so I can loan to people if they need it, just like my Integra. It's a 98 EX or LX, I can't remember which one, but it actually has the VTEC engine, so that's cool. Yeah, one day I want to put that in a CRX or something, so one day it'll probably be out of here. Next video on this car, I'll be replacing all the coolant hoses because this one's ballooning and I'm sure all the other ones are gonna go soon. So I got a coolant hose kit from none other than Max Peating Rods. So that will go on next. I also need to get a new coolant cap because this one is, it like takes like 2 PSI and then it starts pushing coolant. So needs a new cap, but other than that, it is ready to be somebody's daily. Thank you guys for watching. If there's anything you want to see, leave it in the comments below. I'm sure one of my cars will need that repair. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.